One of my all-time favorite things to do in the spring is go out and look for morel mushrooms. So today I'm going to share some tips and tricks that might increase your chances of finding the coveted morel mushroom. The first thing is when to go looking. So soil temperatures need to be 53 degrees or above in order for the morel mushroom to grow. Now, if you're like us and you don't have a soil thermometer, then there's other indicators out in the woods that help tell you it's time to start looking. So these can be the May apples are beginning to grow and their umbrellas have spread out. Dutchman's breeches are blooming. Spring beauties have been blooming for a while. The trilliums are now in bloom, and so are the Virginia bluebells. So these are all easy indicators. If you're seeing these different wildflowers out and about on the forest floor, then your odds of finding morel mushrooms are going to increase. The other thing that might help you improve your chances of finding morel mushrooms is to actually understand the science behind what's going on. So, the morel mushroom is just one small part of the life cycle of the fungus. So, what's actually going on underground really matters. So, there is mycelium, which is kind of like the root system, or you can almost think of it as like a cobweb or spider web type system that is underground. And this is the main part of the organism. And what it's doing is most of them are forming symbiotic relationships with different trees. And so the tree connects to the mycelium, and the tree gives the mycelium food like sugar and water. And the mycelium gives the tree different nutrients like nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate. So there's this mutual beneficial relationship going on between the tree and the mycelium. If the tree undergoes any sort of stress, then it's no longer able to give food and water to the mycelium, therefore also stressing the mycelium. When that happens, the mycelium sends up its fruiting body, which is the morel mushroom that we know, and that morel mushroom actually contains seeds and spores the spores are seeds. These spores that they release into the air and they can move to a new location. Just like a tree is going to release its seeds typically every year, this mycelium is only going to release its spores when it's under a lot of stress. So there are some instances where the host plant or the tree is slowly dying, and therefore you might be able to go back to that area several years in a row and find the mushrooms there. Other trees, they die rather quickly, and it might be a 1 or 2 years in a row that you're able to find the mushrooms there. So what's going on below the surface really matters. For us, when we're looking for morel mushrooms, we're typically looking for elm trees, and these have been affected in our area by the Dutch elm disease. Therefore, they don't typically live very long before they die, and they do seem to have, they're more prone to having that symbiotic relationship with the mycelium. So for us, we're looking for elm trees that have bark that's beginning to break or slip off. But if they're too far gone, if they've been dead too long, we typically don't find the morel mushrooms under them. Everyone has their own preferences. Like I said, for us, we like the elm trees. Some people swear by the maple trees or oak trees. I've heard that old apple orchards make great morel mushroom hunting spots. So everybody kind of has their each preference for whatever they tend to find morels under is what they tend to look for. But be sure to check out under the elm trees, because in our case, that's always been the most beneficial place to look. Another thing to know is that mushroom hunting typically coincides with turkey hunting. So make sure that if you are especially hunting on public ground, that you're keeping in mind that this area may be used for turkey hunting as well. In that case, I would highly recommend that you wear blaze orange or bright color to make sure that you're noticeable. I would also suggest that you avoid the early mornings and the evenings, as that's a time when most of the turkey hunters are out using that area. Morel mushrooms are delicious, and there's tons of different ways to prepare them. We just go with the simple milk and egg batter dipped in crushed up saltines, and then put them in a little electric skillet with butter or oil. They are so good, but a word of warning, be sure to not overindulge yourself because it is pretty easy to get sick on morel mushrooms and then it's kind of ruined forever. So make sure that you eat in moderation with the morel mushrooms. We hope that these tips and tricks help increase your chances of finding the coveted morel mushroom out in the woods. Looking for more facts about nature in your area or local places to explore? Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.